Om Sri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Sri Saraswatyay Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Vyasa Shankara Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Samastajana Kalyani Nirtam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Om Sri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha Om Sri Tapovana Sishyaya Namaha Hari Om. So let us chant this Shanti Patha of Chandogya Upanishad. ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक् प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we are in Chandogya Upanishad. We completed 2 mantras of the second section. Actually, it has 16 sections. The second section is the most critical to pay attention and fully understand, because there's a lot of information. If we really understand it, it clears so many doubts why Vedanta does not click for many of us. And those issues are addressed in the second section. So I have to give you extra details, and we will go a little bit slow so that the whole thing is wrapped up properly. Okay. So in the first section and then first 2 mantras of the second section, so far we have covered a discussion between the father and the son, Uddalaka and Shvetaketu. The result of learning Chandogya Upanishad, chapter 6. The question asked is, Yena asrutam srutam bhavati, Yena amatam matam bhavati, Yena avidjnatam vijnatam bhavati. This is the question the father asked the son. The meaning of that is, knowing which everything becomes heard. That which is unheard becomes heard, which is unthought of becomes thought of, which is not known becomes known. So this is the expectation of this Upanishad, in chapter 6 in particular. So if we understand this, you become self-realized properly. Okay, that is it. Here, understanding does not mean like an objective understanding, actually subjective realization. This is how it works. So now that introduction, now the second section says Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asit, it said. So elaborately I gave introduction last week. What it means is, in the before everything appeared, there is only Sat. Just like before pots appeared, there is only clay. Now, what is the difference between the pots and the clay? Pots are nothing but clay, number one. Number two, in clay, they are unmanifest. See, this is the way you have to think. In clay, pots are unmanifest. Whereas when you have the parts, it's still clay, but our attention is on the utility. We give a different name to it and we forget the cause, which is the clay. So our mind is always on the effect. Effect means that it comes after from the cause. Our mind is always on the effect and then we forget the cause. So for the whole creation, whether it is gold, whether it is clay, whether it is pot, whether it is golden ornaments, or whether it is pots or vases, or even the iron materials, there is a one common cause. It's called Mula Karana. That is called Sat. So what is the statement here? Just like in clay, pot is unmanifest, and then once it is manifested, you have clay plus names and forms. Cause appearing as names and forms. In the same way, before creation, there is only existence plus unmanifested names and forms. After creation, you have, so let me go back. The unmanifested names and forms are called mithya or maya. Okay, I will discuss some more about maya when we go to the third mantra. Very important concept to understand. So unmanifested. So basically, Brahman plus Maya is the material for creation. Why? Because within Brahman, unmanifested creation is there. Creation includes Jiva and Jagat. Okay. So that is given a different name. It's called Ishvara or God. Okay. Now, when the names and forms become manifest, they manifest just like pot appears in clay. In the same way, within Brahman, names and forms appear. So why? Because there is only Brahman. So they cannot have two. There are no two things here. Okay, I will explain this further. Sadeva Saumya, only Sat is there. But then earlier you said Maya is there. Maya is only a transactional entity. Just like pot is only a transactional entity within clay. Mithya. It has no second reality. It is only names and forms. But we forget clay. Exactly same way, mithya is nothing but cause, but when you forget the cause, karana, your mind remains only on the names and forms. Okay, okay. Now we'll keep going. So Maya is a transactional entity. Our focus becomes on Maya, which is Jagat, but it is superimposed on Brahman. But we forget there is a cause behind the universe. So that cause is nothing but Brahman. So if it's everywhere, it is there, it is also in us. Actually, Jivo Brahmaiva. But once our attention shifts to the reality, Brahman, then world really appears in you. And it has no effect. It just becomes a mithya. But our mind is now on the mind. Mind is also name and form. Names and forms. Jiva is names and forms. When our attention is only in the names and forms, we also see outside names and forms. And then we have a tendency to forget who we really are. When you forget who we really are, our ego takes over. Then we project. But then we become limited. When we become limited, we have forgotten all pervading Brahman. As though. But we operate within Brahman. But just like we operate in space, but we are not aware of it. But when we let go of the names and forms, we become the totality of existence in which everything arises. Then you have a different perspective of yourself. Ultimate happiness is product of that experience. So that's where we are actually going. Now, this is very quick, but sometimes, before I go further, mantra number 2 also we did last week. Mantra number 2 talks about very often as an individual, when we thoughts subside, we have an experience of certain amount of blankness, and we call it sleep. And then most of the people say, well, there is no such thing as God, there is no such thing as Sat. World comes out of the void or blankness. This is a common mistake. Here, mind was absent, consciousness is there. You are aware of blankness, but we forget because we are not taught properly. We don't have awareness properly. So, in the mantra number 2, he counters that possibility because people are confused in that. So, basically what he says is, from nothing, something cannot come out. Unmanifested way, your thoughts are there. And they become manifest when you wake up. But when you are aware that there are thoughts, there are only feelings, emotions, then during waking also you are aware of yourself. But normally we forget ourselves and get caught up in names and forms. I mentioned it before. So the simple logic is, if I want butter and say I don't mind working for it, would you give me water? No, you would give me milk because milk has butter. Unless it is there in the cause, it cannot come out. So from asat, something cannot come out. There is something even deep sleep also, that is your awareness of knowing nothing. Same thing, suppose you want to some coconut oil, you don't take anything else, you only take coconut, groundnuts. Sorry. Or suppose you want coconut oil, coconut only take. Or if you want groundnut oil, groundnuts you take. Exactly the same way, conscious, anything that comes out and appears and disappears, there has to be a substratum in it, before and after. So, for example, in clay, part can appear and then disappear. The clay still remains. In the same way, consciousness exists whether you have thoughts or not. When you have thoughts, we have a tendency to forget. consciousness. So the purpose of Upanishad is to gradually take you there. So a beautiful example Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi frequently gives, and it's very important to understand before we go further. Is suppose we go to, suppose somebody does not know that a movie is projected on a screen. But you tell him, a little child, for example, from a village, you take him. Ramana Maharshi's example this. So you tell the boy that the, the movie is projected on a screen. But suppose we were late, you went to the movie. By the time you went, movie has started. The boy will keep on asking the father, where is the screen? The father would explain to the boy, well, suppose a movie is going on, the two people are running, one person running behind, and then there is a mountain. So I say, okay, the person is running, yes. See that? Okay. The person who is ahead of him, yes, yes, okay. Then the mountain behind him, yeah. The screen is behind that. He says, no. Behind that there is sky. Where is the screen? You keep on repeating the question until in the middle of the movie interval, then everything is stopped. Then he sees the screen. Exactly same thing. Our consciousness is a support for all our experiences and our body, perceptions, feelings, emotions, thoughts, and the world. World arises within consciousness and then disappears, and then arises, and then disappears. Consciousness alone is real. World is a mithya. Because it borrows existence, just like Nama Rupa borrow existence from clay or cause. The same way, out of your existence, you lend existence to what you see. Without you, without your consciousness, world doesn't exist. You are the pramata. If you shift your attention, just like without the screen, the movie doesn't exist. Your thoughts don't exist. Your body doesn't exist. Consciousness is the support. Okay. So this is how much we covered. It's extremely important to keep this in heart, because this is how you meditate also. There's no need for a thought because they are only depend upon you. The mithya. Even the thought of body is also depends upon you. And you pervade all if you just let go. Because normally we have a tendency to think it is only here. Consciousness only in my body, in my mind. Because the mind is giving that sense. Not mind, but your brain is giving that sense. But it is operating, there is a light behind the brain also. If you shift your attention to the light, that is consciousness. That is all pervading. Okay? So that is extremely important to keep this in mind. As we keep going, it will move fast. Then we suddenly we lose ourselves. Okay. With that introduction, we go to mantra number 3. Okay. Mantra number 3. I think you are at the first adhyaya. You need to go to sixth adhyaya. Sixth adhyaya in second section. Sixth adhyaya, page number 226. 220. Okay, I can read. Go ahead and okay, I will do it. Okay. Tadaikshatā bahushyaṃ prajāyēyēti tattejo asrujatā tatteja aikshata bahushyaṃ prajāyēyēti tadapo asrujatā tasmā kvacha sochati svedate va purushaha tejasa eva tadadhyapo jayante तदैक्षता बहुश्यां प्रजा ये येति तत्तेजो सृजतां तत्तेज ऐक्षता बहुश्यां प्रजा ये येति तदपो सृजतां तस्माद्यत्र क्वच शोचति स्वेदते वा पुरुषस्तेजस एव तदध्यापो जायन्ते. Now, Srusti is being described. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Brahma plus Maya is Ishvara. So, Maya is the unmanifest names and forms. Ishvara uses Brahman as the support and Maya to manifest the names and forms. Just like on the screen, the movie is being played. Movie names and forms. Your thoughts, your matter, your body, your perceptions, all the names and forms on appearing on consciousness, which is Brahman or Sat. Okay. Now, a question will come, but it's a technical question. But before, I just want to clear it. Some people may be interested to know a little bit extra detail. Is Maya, I said Maya plus Brahman. So, but in the earlier, we said Sadeva Saumya Idamagra, only Sat is there. Earlier we said that. Now suddenly you're saying Maya plus Brahman is there. So this is a technical point, but it is important to know Maya is not an independent reality. Names and forms are not independent of clay. It is only a play in clay. PLAY play in CLAY clay. It's only a play. Names and forms are nothing but cause plus manifestation of names and forms. Gold plus bangle. You look at bangle, but you forget gold. But it is still only gold only. Maya is exactly same way. Number one. So you suddenly might say, is Maya a part of Brahman? Unmanifested names? No. If it is a part, then a Swagata Bedha will come. Maya has no reality, just an appearance. Consciousness is the only reality. Just like movie has no reality, only screen is there. Transactional value is there, but not absolute reality. It's a very technical, but it's important to understand. That is the only way you can negate the world. If you understand this concept, then only the teaching works. That's why it is important to understand this. In you, your emotions, your thoughts, your body sensation, your family, your world arises in you. And then it borrows its existence from you. It has no separate identity. And then it drops in you. You remain before and after without any. If this clarity is there, then only your Brahmakara Vrutti forms. What is the purpose of Sravana? As you are listening, your mind, your heart should expand into the Brahmakara Vrutti and you should have to experience that wholeness. That becomes possible only when you know world is only an appearance. It can be negated. The Sravana is the most important aspect of the teaching. Brahmakara Vrutti has to form during Sravana. Then you have to manana, you have to ask questions like this. Is Maya real? If it is not real, I can negate it. If it is real, I cannot negate it. So Vedanta says it appears real, but it's not real. I will just quote one beautiful sloka Bhagavan Shankaracharya has written because this is a very important concept. So see here he's saying Tadaikshata, the mantra number 3, he saw. The next line is Bahushyam Prajayeyeti. He said, may I become many. So you have to know what's going. It is not explained here, but it is that's how the process goes. Bhagavan Shankaracharya also in the commentary explains. So it's very important to get clarity on Maya. What is how it works? So the sloka Bhagavan Vivek Chudamani, I read this. Sannaप्यस सन्नाप्यसन्नाप्युभयात्मिकानो भिन्नाप्यभिन्ना उभयात्मिकानो सांगाप्यसंगा उभयात्मिकानो mahadbhuta nirvachana anirvachaniya rupa. He defines sanna satna. See, right away Bhagavan Shankara, it is not existence, na. Asat, na. It is not non-existence because the whole jagat you can see. The effect of mind. Ubhayatmika, it is not sat and asat combination, no. Bhinna, abhinna, no. Is it different from Brahman or is it, it's not, it's not, it is indifferent from Brahman. Is it both? No. Is it a part of Brahman or it is not a part of Brahman? All of them, Bhagavan Shankaracharya, it is none. What is Mahadbhuta Anirvachaniya Rupa? It is something inexplicable. Anirvachaniya Rupa, Mahadbhuta Anirvachaniya Rupa is Maya. Why? Because your mind intellect operates only in objects. Before your mind and intellect are there, you have vasanas. And you have tendency to get mixed up. Once you get mixed up, you cannot understand who you are. Only way to undo it is you just have to feel that Brahmakara Vrutti during Sravana and then revel in it, and then gradually you know who you are. Then Maya will. So it's something you created and you suffer, but you don't know you created it. So in the case of Bhagavan, he uses Maya in order to create the world based upon our vasanas. So Bhagavan is actually not a partial to anybody. His operational guideline law is the cosmic law is the karma of the jivas. According to the karma, he creates a jagat and then puts the jiva at the right place in jagat and with the right form to enjoy or not to enjoy. Number one. Now it is just like the dream that I create. But in the dream, I create it using my vasanas in my consciousness. Exactly, Bhagavan within his consciousness, which is all pervading presence, he creates the Jagat to provide all the 14 worlds, all the jivas, all the thought processes to experience Kartrutra, Bhotrutva, all of these things he creates based upon individual requirements. That is the law. He, when he say tadaikshata bahusyam praja yeti, so transactionally Maya works because we are already, when you are born with your vasanas. But for Bhagavan, it is just a tool to put you there. You can negate it through Sravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. And also, if you have proper background, just by listening itself, you get Brahmakara Vrutti, and then you also slowly, slowly revel in it, and then you own it. Brahmakara Vrutti is nothing but non-reactive state of existence, pure existence, which is infinite. So, you can undo your vasanas by using that where your unreactive state of presence. In vasanas rise, but you don't react, though they pass through you quickly. Because by the power of the teaching, by the power of the grace of God, by the power of the reflection, you can abstain from creating more vasanas using the state of non-reactive mental attitude towards yourself, towards your thoughts, towards unless stop talk least. One of the most important things is do not talk unnecessarily because that shows this tendency to keep on thinking, rising more and more unnecessary thoughts. First of all, that will stop very quickly, and then your thoughts when they arise, be a witness to the power of the teaching that you have learned. Gradually perceptions, feelings, they become secondary to your existence. Otherwise, you lend existence to them. So I will give an example. Swami Tejomayanji, our Guru, one of the Swamiji Guruji used to give the example, very nice example, how Maya works in the hands of Bhagavan. If a king, when he passed, he wanted to impress upon his children the capacity of his minister because they do not know how great their minister is because they have their own perceptions about about him. So he wrote his will. The will said, okay, you take this, you take this, you take the other. And then he said that 17 horses that we have in the stable, I want my first son to take half of it, second son take four of them, and then third son take the rest of them. 17 horses. You should not kill. Now, how do you split half? 17, half of 17 is eight and a half. You have to, you don't know how to do it. And then he said, the person who solves this problem would be the minister of the empire. So they called everybody. They said, this is the problem. We cannot kill, but we have 17 horses here. So the minister, whom his father has trust, said, okay, I will give the solution. He brought his own horse from his stable. So now we have 17 plus 1, 18 you have. Then half of them, 9, he gave to first son. Then plus 4, 9 plus 4, 13, he gave to second son. And then 3, 4, 13, 4 more. Other half and half. 4 more to his second. Let me repeat. Half to one person, and then so half to one person becomes 9. Now 18 divided by 2 becomes 9. So how many are left? 8 are left. Only 17, right? 4 and 4. So that's a mistake I made. 4 and 4 becomes 18, 17. And he took his hours back. So he basically made it 18 for transactionally to make the problem solved. Let me repeat, I got a little bit confused. Totally 17 horses are there in the king. He added his horse. Then it makes 18. Half of them 9 to 1. So balance 9 plus another 8 becomes 17. So he gave 4 and 4 to other 2 boys. So half to one son, 1/4 and 1/4. That is the will. Okay, I made a mistake earlier. What is the will? So problem is solved, and he took his horse. So basically, what happened here is Maya is a entity only transactionally it is there, but it's not. It just solves the problem. Ishvara uses the vasanas of all the people to create what they need, but they themselves are not permanent. They can be exhausted, like a Brahma. So when you develop the clarity that who you are, vasanas go away fast. You see, that's how. So basically, that's what it is. So Swami Chinmaya Maharaj, I took this sloka from his commentary on Vivek Chudamani. He gives an example of the Maya. It is like you project something, you see a post in the dark. In the villages, there are not that many lights. And then you think it is a ghost. And you see hands, legs, and it's moving, and all kinds of projections you make. But then upon analysis, you realize it is just not a ghost, it is just a post. So Brahma in the mind creates that I am this body, I am this mind, I am this. And then you identify with it, just like you identify the ghost with the post. In you identify with the mind and your ideas or thoughts, and then you forget your true self. That identification is Maya. But as long as you are in the grip of it, you forget it. So through Sravana, Manana, Nitidhyasana, you can undo it very fast. So that's why. Now here, Tat Aikshata Bahusham Prajaye Yeti. Tat here means Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asit. Tat, that. With Maya, unmanifest. Maya itself is unmanifest names and forms. Okay. Otherwise, Ishvara cannot create. Brahman doesn't create. Brahman is all pervading, infinite witness, self presence. Ishvara creates using the Maya. Now, what did he say? Bahushyam prajaye yeti. May become many. Here, 2 points are important. Tad aikshata, he saw. This indicates consciousness. Earlier, Sadeva, only existence is mentioned, but latent in it is the consciousness. Consciousness is the ability to act, to be active. That first awareness principle. Awareness. Aikshata. So, now consciousness and awareness. Existence and awareness. Number two, Bahushyam Prajayayeti. May I become many. So what does it mean? In him, the world became many. Because only he was there. Sadeva Sauma Idamagrasid. So in him, the world appeared. May I become many. So there is no other material here. Only existence. So in Vedanta Shastra, creation is nothing but appearance in Brahman. In you, your thoughts, your weaknesses, your sensations, your perceptions, your feelings, they appear. They don't have reality. They borrow from you. They're unreal. But you keep on churning it, they become real. So how do you stop churning them? You want this teaching. I am the pure presence. Let them come and go. Ups and downs. Like that. Then one more point. So Bhagavan himself is the support, means he is the Upadana Karana. Upadana Karana means, earlier I said, what is Upadana Karana of the pot? Clay. What is Upadana Karana of gold? Sorry, bangles? Gold. What is Upadana Karana of the whole universe? Consciousness and existence. Without you as a Pramata, world doesn't exist. And that you is consciousness. Your world can be negated because it's mithya, because it rises in you. This is what most important connections. Maya is also names and forms unmanifest. And then once it's manifest, it is Jagat. Names and forms. But a manifestation is taking place within consciousness. So what is Bhagavan, Ishvara? He is the support as a material and also as the creator using the vasanas of the karmic reservoir. So he is the Abhinna Upadana Nimitta Karana. He is the creator and also material. This is covered. So Tadaikshata includes his creativeness. Bhaushyam Praja Yeyeti. So his material is providing. May I become many. See, similar thing appears in Chandogya Upanishad, not sorry, in Taittiriya Upanishad. I just will read it. So kamayata, same thing. Bahushyam praja yayeti, satapotapyata, satapastaptva, yadagum sarvam asujata, yedidam kincha, tat srustva, tadevanupravishat. This is Taittiriya Upanishad, Brahmanandavalli. Satchat, satchatyacha abhavatu, niruktancha, niruktamcha, nilayanancha, nilayanancha, vijnanancha, vijnanancha, Satyamcha Anutancha Satyam Abhavatu. Here, that time, the reason I am quoting that is, here it says everything with form, without form, with definition, without definition, with support, without support, knowledge, lack of knowledge, everything he created. That's why I wanted to quote it. So whole cosmic principles, all names and forms, all ideas, all thoughts, everything he created within himself using Maya, which is itself not by real by itself. It just functionally uses your vasanas, but the moment you realize, it gets neutralized. Just like the moment you realize it is a post, ghost disappears. The moment you realize your consciousness, the ghost of identities, depressions, excitements, anxieties, lack of peace, lack of the fears, they all disappear because they don't have reality. Ultimate security is only possible through knowledge of Vedanta. Your fear of death also disappears because you never born. It's only mental from the beginning. So here, Bahusyam Praja Yeti. Now, about the creation in this context, before I go further, I want to read Bhagavan Shankaracharya's commentary, what he says about the creation. I just told you example of post and ghost, and without any hesitation, Bhagavan says this is just an appearance. I will read this. Sataha eva dvaita bedena anyatha gruhyamanatvat na asattam kasyachit kvachit iti brumaha. Other than Sat, there is nothing there, even though it appears. This is what I am telling. He is saying. यथा सतः अन्यत् वस्त्वन्तरं परिकल्प्य पुनः तस्यैव प्रागुत्पत्ते प्रध्वंस्या च ऊर्ध्वम् असत्वं ब्रूते तार्किकः न तथा अस्माभिः कदाचित् क्वचित् अपि सतः अन्यत् अभिधानम् अभिधेयं वा वस्तु परिकल्प्यते. He is telling many people say there was nothing, then part came, and then part became asat, disappeared. So it was nothing first, then something came, and then it became nothing later. He says, no, that's not what we are saying. We are saying you are always there, it just appeared in you, and that went, you are always still there. So what you are there, you temporarily appeared as something along with that, and then that particular entity has disappeared, you still exist as before. Names and form just parikalpana happen to be. Now he says, Satyeva sarvam abhidhanam abhidhiyate cha yat anya buddhya. So only Sat. Out of anya buddhi, you are seeing something different. You are always perfect. You are Shiva right now. Have that Akhandakara Vritti, Brahmakara Vritti. What which happens when you are listening to pravachans. And just be that. That is Sat. Everything appears in you. And realize you are free. There is no delay. But you have to practice it because manana has to go. So you have to practice for some time. Shama Dhamma will develop. So now he says, Satyeva tu sarvam abhidhanam abhidhiyate cha yat anya buddhi. Only truth is called by different names and different forms. Only truth is always there. You're just not looking at it. Yatha rajjuhu eva sarpa buddhya sarpaha iti abhidhiyate यथा वा पिण्डघटादि मृदः अन्यबुद्ध्या पिण्डघटादि शब्देन अभिधीयते लोके. Same example, he says, just like a rope by accidentally is projected as snake by anya buddhi, by not looking at the actual rope. In the same way, just like pot is not recognized as clay by mistaken identity of pot. Even the names and forms are appear, it is only appearance. Because there's only one matter, one material. Sadeva Saumya. There's only one entity which is existence. Others appear within existence as separate existence. But if you look at the existence itself, you are still the same. Now he says, Rajju Viveka Darshanam tu Sarpabhidhana Buddhi Nivartete. Once you look at the rope, automatically Sarpa Drushti will go. When you look at the same way, when you look at who you are not your thoughts, you are not your perceptions, you are not your emotions. When you look at yourself, they leave you and you become infinite, happy. Tadvat Sad Viveka Darshanam Anya Vikar Sabda Buddhi Nivartate. In the same way, when you revel in your true self, Anya Buddhi of limitations leave you. He quotes Yato Vacho Nivartante Apra Manasa Saha. He quotes Taittiriya Upanishad. Bhagavan Shankaracharya, when he writes, he quotes. He does not just, he gives a reference. So basically, this is ultimate teaching. You are ever perfect, ever existential, true existential bliss. You render existence to others, in you and others, because you forget who you are. Okay. Now here a question comes, and this is very important. Everything I am talking today is extremely crucial to digest. A question comes here very often. Now, Sadeva, the purpose of the teaching is that you are that infinite presence, unadulterated by projections. Yes, understood. But then why are you creating? Why are you again now doing creation? If creation is mithya, why are you even taking time to teach me? Why are you wasting this? See, so just teach. I am that, and then I'm done. The funny thing is, you will not, it's not that easy for you and me. If we are that pure, finished. Today itself is finished. Many of us are not that clear. So Shastra has a process. It's a very important point. Shastra has a process. The process is they first divert your attention from the objects and emotions, feelings, perceptions, and then thoughts to the support of it. So earlier you thought everything is by itself real. And then you have no choice, you have no chance. The best you can say, it came out of nothing. But you are always completely committed to your ideas, thoughts, body, and all. So what Shastra first tells you is, you are this plus that. So it's called super adhyaropa. They take Jiva's characteristics and they say it came out of Brahman. So your attention is first taken away from the objects and to the Brahman. Then your mind now starts thinking Brahmakara Vrutti. Otherwise, you don't even know what it is. You are being introduced to Brahmakara Vrutti, Akhandakara Vrutti, you can call it. And then say within that everything is appearing. So the appearance is within it, the Srushti. So earlier you thought you are creating it. Now suddenly your mind has become educated that within consciousness it is appearing. Now your mind has two. Consciousness is first. Then you are looking at creation as appearance in consciousness. Instead of thinking each one of them is real, then you have no choice. You have no chance. Asti has to first know. There is something beyond this in which it appears. So Adhyaropa does that. Look through yourself, you see your source. Then you are a product of the source. So now your mind has source in the background. Then Shastra Apavada, it removes you. There is a only Brahman. See, that is the process it does. There's sloka in this, I read it. Adhyaropa apavadabhyam nishprapancham prapanchate. शिष्याणां बोधसिद्ध्यर्थं शास्त्रज्ञोः कल्पितक्रमः. It's a process so that your attention is now whole universe is in consciousness. Consciousness is word is introduced by saying consciousness or Brahman plus Maya created world. And the consciousness plus Maya is the support. So your but your creation is only a superimposition within consciousness. Now your mind has suddenly adhyaropa you did. Because adhyaropa of mithya you did. Mithya means something that's not real. Name and forms. You are saying Brahman created. Brahman means Ishvara created names and forms. Now your attention is now on Ishvara and names and forms. Now you remove names and forms as we go along, and then you become remain. So you understand the creation, you also understand the stuff behind it, and then you remove creation. That's how teaching proceeds. Everywhere. Taittiriya Upanishad also. Panchakosha Viveka. It creates Panchakoshas and then removes them. Brahmanandavalli. Same thing with Mandukya Upanishad. Avasthatraya Viveka. So why are you explaining creation? Because you are trying to make sure you understand it came from. Because our mind is now in creation. Now you're trying to slowly get your attention to the source and then explain the whole Jagat is operating within it, and then you remove it again. Then you remain. Okay. So Adhyarop Apavadabhyam, there are two processes. Nishprapancham prapanchate. That cannot be explained is explained. Shishyanam bodha siddhyartham. To teach the students, it's a process. Kalpita kramaha. It's a process. You don't have to teach anything. You are Brahman, and if you understand it right away and you realize you are done. But you don't. So a process is created. Okay. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om